Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, welcome into another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gators studios here at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We'll have Coach Spurrier on in just a little bit to talk about what was not a good weekend for the mighty Gators. And again, Wednesday, we're doing a special Thanksgiving show. I'm still not sure for 100% sure on the guest, so I don't want to say, but it'll be a good guest. We'll have a good time with it. We've got like 3 people that I'm waiting for an answer on, and all 3, so I don't want to say who it is, and it'll be the other ones later. But anyway, all right. So little chilly in Gainesville, but not surprisingly, Sunday was a very gloomy day. It was dark and rainy and crappy and cold. It always seems to be that after a Gator bad loss, not after just every loss, but bad losses. It always seems to be that way. Anyway, let us get to our Hand Law starting lineup. And of course, the starting lineup, as always, is presented by Hand Law, a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville. We appreciate Chris Hand and all the great stuff he does. And let's just get to the game. Number 1 on the Hand Law starting lineup. What we learned is that Billy Napier has his own smelly eggs he can lay. This is something we've been going through in Gainesville, or for Florida fans, really since the 2009 season. Because 2010, there's not many smellier losses than that Urban Meyer loss to South Carolina with the SEC on the line and gets destroyed. And when I say smelly loss, it's like a game you think they're going to win. You have a little concern, but you think they're going to win, and then they just give it away. In that case, it was more South Carolina took it away. But this was bad. This was it wasn't Georgia Southern under Muschamp bad. McElwain certainly had some bad ones. Mullen down the stretch, certainly of his career, had some terrible ones. In the Missouri game, his first year, was a smelly loss. Here's a smelly loss for Billy Napier. And I looked this up. I was talking to Robbie actually on the phone Saturday, and I said, I need to look up anybody who lost to Vandy and Kentucky in the same year. Now, Vandy, they didn't play every year for a long time, so there's a reason why it's so long ago. But it's 1974, the last time a coach lost to Vanderbilt and Kentucky in the same year. That was a Doug Dickey team. That was actually pretty good and found ways to lose a couple of games. They went 8-4. They only lost one other conference game to Georgia, and then they lost to Nebraska in the Sugar Bowl on a controversial call. But you got to play around the refs. Look, there were so many things that went wrong with this game. You got your third-string punt returner back in Jason Marshall, who made a great interception later in the game and gave Florida a chance when the game looked like it was over, and stuck with it. But, and again, it was, you can't field the ball inside the 5. He didn't field it inside the 5. He fielded it about the 7, but he just should have let it go, obviously. Especially it was a sun field. I've been there many times. I know how it is there. So that happens, and that's 7 free points for Vanderbilt. All those penalties that kept drives going. Certainly missed extra point, which didn't end up being a big deal, but it was. Mainly, though, the thing that people can't figure out is why Florida didn't run the ball and why with a team that was second in the nation in runs per attempt. And it's explained away that they took away Anthony Richardson, but I'm watching the game. Early in that game, he was given the ball and running around the end. There was nobody there. But I think he saw ghosts. I don't know. I don't know what went wrong. I really don't. Why this team can go so far, because I'll talk about this with Coach Spurrier, but Gator fans play everything game to game, and they're not alone. Every fan plays it game to game. It's not even what you did last year. It's always what you did last week. And right now they're really down on Coach Napier. Look, if he beats FSU, which I don't think is going to happen, they'll go, he's the best coach ever. We're on the right track. Everybody was on the right track last week. Now everybody wants, everybody's upset. And I don't blame you. There was a little cursing at the television when I was watching, I can tell you that. But we'll see what happens this week. And Wednesday, we'll give you a little bit more of a preview of the Florida FSU game. I can tell you, doing my initial look-see at the stats that I do this thing for Gators Wire called 12 Things that you need to know about Florida State. And going through it, I'm like, Florida's going to get killed. Now, they have the last 4 weeks, they've beaten their opponents something like 179-39, something like that. I've got it written down somewhere. But they haven't played anybody, and including Miami. Miami's just terrible. Anyway, let's get to number 2, and that is the Anthony Richardson situation, where a guy throws for 400 yards and everybody's mad at him. Do you really want this guy back or not? Because if you really want him back, you should say, hey, good job, Anthony. Good. Now, again, I don't know what he's seeing on social media, but people are taking him to task. He's thrown for over 400 yards twice. Florida lost both games. They were both in the state of Tennessee. This season's getting weirder and weirder all the time. But the bottom line is, now you kind of get this camp that goes, there was a camp last week that goes, man, he's getting better. Boy, I hope we can convince him to come back. Now it's like, I don't care if he comes back or not. And this rumor that's flying around about Sam Hartman, the quarterback of Wake Forest, who I love. I love watching him. I told you guys, and I'll get to basketball in just a second, that when Alex Fudge went in the transfer portal, I go, oh, Florida needs to get that guy. I love that guy. You saw a little bit of that Saturday or Friday night. I don't know how much truth there is to that. He may go to the NFL. He may want to come to Florida. There's a lot of people who have sources. We'll see. And now everybody's like, throw AR to the dog heap. Look, this is one reason I think Anthony Richardson is going to go pro after this year, is just because he's obviously struggled with being the local boy, a local guy, I should say, playing in the town. What is he? How old is he now? 20? 20. Are you a boy at 20? No. Okay. What is it? 18? 18? Yeah. Okay. All right. So local guy playing quarterback in his hometown. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why he didn't run the ball more. I don't know why they didn't call running plays. Okay, you can say, well, every play is a running play in the read option. Yeah, but if you call runs, he's got to run it. Like that sweep that they ran, and they ran it once and got a few yards on it, and then they never did it again. I don't get it. I don't get the game plan. I don't get anything about that game. Number 3 on the hand-loss starting lineup, it was a crazy day. There was almost magnificent chaos on Saturday. And again, I'm not just talking about Florida losing to Vanderbilt for the first time first time there since 88? No, not just that. That was nothing. Tennessee getting destroyed like it did, and feel bad for Hendon Hooker. Really do. I even feel bad for their fans. I hate to say it. Ohio State, tough game. They were right down to the wire. I watched the end of that. Watched a little bit of the Michigan game. Won on a last-second field goal. TCU escapes again when everybody wants them to lose and get out of there so the brand names can be there. No, we're going to keep winning. Georgia struggles with Kentucky, wins 16-6. Ole Miss gets boat raced by Arkansas. It was just wild. UCF loses to Navy, reduces its chances of being in the conference championship game. They still got a chance. It was close to being magnificent chaos, and now I have no idea who's going to be in the playoffs. I tell you, one team that Georgia, because when they go on the road, they don't play anywhere near as well, and this is something that's happening on the road. It is. But remember, they almost got beat by Missouri on the road. Every team, don't forget, we're dealing with 18 to 20, well, in this case, 25-year-olds, but with the transfer portal and everything else. But anyway, it was almost a really crazy day for college football. Let us go number 4 on the starting lineup to the basketball win Friday night, which feels like it was 9 years ago. But certainly at halftime, Florida's down 17. You're like, okay, let's just see if there's a movie on or something. And I'm one of those guys who did that. And I go, okay, let's go back and check where they are. And I go, oh, they're within 9. okay, let me stay with this for a while. And then the run was unbelievable. The Alex Fudge dunk was unbelievable. Florida coming back and outscoring them 50-24. They did that despite going 3 for 17 on threes. I thought this was going to be a really good shooting three-point team. I may have been way wrong. I may have listened to the coaches too much because they haven't shot the ball well all year. Myron Jones still can't make a three, although he's playing a lot more, and I think he's playing a little better, but they still can't make threes. I don't know what the issue is. So that was Friday, and then, of course, they got games coming up. We'll talk about that in a minute. FSU now 0-4. They had a major injury, and then they're also without a guy who's got an eligibility issue. He's out for 16 games, who's probably their best player. I felt kind of bad for them, too. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm feeling bad for Tennessee and FSU fans. Who stole my body and replaced it with a pod? I don't know. Well, here on the pod, it's time for the fifth thing on the hand law starting lineup. And I will tell you this. I'm not going to any more Florida games because every time I go, they lose something. I went to volleyball Sunday. 3-0, losers. Now, they had won the night before or day before 3-0. So that's why we went, because I was excited. They could basically clinch the SEC. They still can win the SEC. And it was a great match. I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed watching it. It was high-level volleyball. And really, Kentucky, you knew Kentucky would come out with a different attitude. This is the world we live in, with college athletes especially. We live in a world that is just so day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. I mean, it's players play differently on different days, different sports. Doesn't matter what sport it is. You can go out and shoot 68, 79, in golf. You can go out, make everything, miss everything 2 days later. It's just the way it is. So anyway, Florida now plays at Ole Miss 2 games. Ole Miss is 7-9 this year. And don't forget, Florida and Kentucky are still tied for first. So if Florida wins the 2 games at Ole Miss, they win a share of the conference championship. They get a trophy. It's not the worst thing in the world. You'd rather win it outright, and you pretty much could have. Kentucky plays South Carolina at home. South Carolina is 6-9 in the conference. So talking about 2 middle-of-the-pack teams in the conference. But again, you got to go take care of business. You got to take care of business if you're Florida. Florida 13-3 in the conference. But that loss, and again, it was 3. It's weird. I looked it up. I just looked at the numbers. Florida won 3-0, Kentucky won 3-0, and there was only 3 points difference if you add all the points together between them. Florida actually with a +3. Anyway, this is kind of weird. All right, that's going to do it for our hand law starting lineup. Look forward to having Coach Spurrier. Robbie Andreu will be on a little bit later also with our Big Mills cheesesteak. Yes, nowhere, maybe. Leonardo's coming up. Adams coming up. Hesser and Kipke coming up. Gainesville Quarterback Club and Pat Dooley's story time. All that coming up. And more. Who knows what we'll talk about, but we'll take a break. We'll come back with Steve Spurrier, most famous man in Gainesville. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brew To Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Pat Dooley's Storytime is brought to you by East Lake Pediatrics. Nobody knows how to provide pediatric health care for little Gators better than Dr. Mike and the other board-certified pediatricians and the pediatric nurse practitioners of East Lake Pediatrics. They have been providing personalized health care to the children of Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough counties since 2004. And with the recent addition of Dr. Chris, who is also board certified in sports medicine, they are now offering care for youth sports injuries as well. To learn more about East Lake Pediatrics, call 727-372-6760. And to get to know them better, listen to Dr. Mike and Dr. Carey on their Peds and Pop podcast on multiple platforms. Gator football is back, and the best way to get exclusive insight is a membership in the Gainesville Quarterback Club. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you the access to speakers like coaches, Gator greats, and more. Yeah, I even talk over there. It's pretty cool. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-person meetings or for non-locals via Zoom with an out-of-town membership. Right now, out-of-town memberships are only $150, and all new out-of-town signups get entered to win 2 Champions Club tickets to homecoming. That's pretty cool. Against Missouri, speaker presentations, home game tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org or call me, Pat Dooley, 352-317-3444, and I'll get you in touch with the right people. Gainesville Quarterback Club.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
Okay, and welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI. Of course, we're coming at you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. It's time to talk to Coach Spurrier. And, of course, his appearances, as always, are brought to you by Meldon Law. They won't back down. We'll get to the play of the game in just a little bit, but I did want to talk to you. I mean, I know you were at Mississippi State game at the same time Florida was playing, but when that score kept popping up, you're probably going, what? I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, we were at the ballpark there in Starkville, and it was an 11 o'clock game, same as Nashville game. And first one was 7-6, Vandy. Ooh, all of a sudden 14-6. And it was pretty cool out in Starkville. And they're playing East Tennessee State. They had, I think, 42 or something at halftime. So we left about the middle of third quarter and got back to the hotel. So we watched the whole fourth quarter of Florida and Vandy. And, yeah, it was an interesting game. We didn't play very well at all. Vandy played better and probably deserved to win the game, as it turned out.
You know, it's funny. Somebody made this point, and it was kind of a funny point that, and of course, Billy Napier's feeling a lot of heat right now from the fans and everything. But imagine if there had been Twitter and Facebook when you lost 45-3 to Tennessee your first year. Everybody going, what is this? They had to lose, but now That didn't happen back then. Now, once something happens,
we had the best defense in the conference. We were the first or second in 1990, and our 2 losses, the other team got 45 points.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you just get clobbered. But that was 2 teams at Tennessee and at FSU, which they were top 5 in the nation, I think, both of them that year.
They were, they were really good. Certainly, we didn't see this coming because this team had been playing at a high level. And after the game, Billy Napier saying, well, this was kind of a reality check. And I think that it was still, I mean, again, they lost guys. They lost Pearsall during the game. Shorter went out for a while. Then you lose Ventrell Miller on the targeting call, which was sad to see him. He'll be out for the first half against Florida. But sometimes you just have a hard time getting ready, and yet Florida always found a way to win that game in Nashville. You know, even that 96 team. You know, that atmosphere was blah. Next thing you know, it's 28-21. You got to go for it on 4th down.
Yeah, sometimes stuff happens. You know, Danny went back and the guy knocked the ball out of his hands and it bounced right back to him, the linebacker for Vandy, and he ran about 50 yards for a touchdown. And then they had about a 40-yard touchdown run. All of a sudden, it's 28-21, and we held on. That was about our closest game in the SEC that year, and we won all 9 of them. So it can happen on the road and there, but man, you gotta really get ready every game. And I wish we'd come out running at them. I mean, we ran for 380 yards a week before, and we started throwing all the time, and it just didn't work out.
No, and again, I think there. I say this all the time. People say, "Well, maybe Billy Napier has got too much on his plate. He shouldn't be the play caller." And I'm like, "You mean like Spurrier shouldn't have been the play caller? You mean like Josh Heupel shouldn't be the play caller? You know, Jimbo Fisher. Everybody says too much on his plate. Everybody finds a way to be critical when the offense doesn't get the job done."
Yeah, that's true. But Billy Napier's got a lot of helpers around there now,
he does.
a lot more than we ever thought we needed. And most schools do. Georgia's got plenty of helpers there, and assistant and analysts and all those people. So, I don't know why we didn't try to run more. Maybe we did early and it wasn't going anywhere. But it was a game that was a little bit embarrassing. But yet, on the other hand, the week before they beat Kentucky, and Kentucky beat us. Yeah. And I was trying to say, hey, they're not bad.
Exactly.
And it wouldn't surprise me if they beat Tennessee this week. If their quarterback's out and Tennessee's in the dumps now, because I don't know what they got to play for except maybe a bid to the Citrus Bowl, somebody said. That might be.
I thought about that too. I said, this is Spurrier's revenge.
Well,
they
could have had the Sugar Bowl if they were, go 11-1. They could go into the Sugar Bowl and go from there. Or Final Four. Yeah.
I think they'd have been in the playoffs.
Yeah, they had been in the Final Four.
If they had beaten Vandy in the last game, if they had won that. But, I mean, your old team, we didn't scored 6 last week and 63 the next week against a better team.
That's what was amazing, South Carolina. It was almost as if the offensive coordinator, Satterfield, I think's his name, and Beamer got together and said, why don't we just chunk the ball the way Tennessee does? Let's put in Tennessee's offense, and let's go see if we can score 50. And they just kept scoring. I mean, they scored, 5 out of 5 touchdowns the first half, and 4 out of 5, somebody said, second half. 9 touchdowns, and man.
I kept waiting for them to stop them, and the only time they stopped them in the first half was they kneeled at the end of the half.
It got to 35-31. Tennessee had a little bit of a comeback, and South Carolina kept firing and running and throwing passes back to the Wildcat quarterback, and they executed tremendously. I didn't know their receivers were that good till the other night. But a team that was shut out by us scored 63 on Tennessee. But, here's what I'm figuring out, Pat. The home field advantage now is greater than it's ever been.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly why. It's just what it is. Ole Miss gets clobbered at Arkansas. Tennessee gets clobbered at South Carolina. We get, not clobbered, but we lose at Vandy. Bama lost at Tennessee. Tennessee lost at Georgia. South Carolina lost at Florida. I mean, just go up and down the ladder. If you're not ready to play on the road, you're in trouble.
It's a different game, and again, going to that atmosphere is not ideal for a Florida team. Going in, it's a weird atmosphere.
And all coaches, and we did the same thing. We all brag about our home crowd and how it helps our team. So, I mean, they're coming to the ballpark to make it loud on the other guys. You know, you better have some hand signals because you're not going to be able to hear anything. And so the home crowd is I think stronger now than it's ever been.
In the end, if you don't win on the road, I mean, it's like the famous Marv Levy line that he told his team. You know why Germany didn't win World War II? Because Hitler couldn't win on the road. He would go on the road and he would lose. So you got to win, and it's kind of funny, but it's but you've got to win on the road. And Dan Mullen was actually pretty good at winning on the road. He won a lot of games until that last year. But certainly atmosphere is a difference maker. Sometimes because it's loud, sometimes because it's not. Sometimes you're out there and you're like, it's 11 o'clock. I know you used to have your team leave their watches at noon, right? So,
yeah, we did when we had those games. We didn't have a whole bunch, but if we're Central Time, I said we're going to be playing at 12, and they're going to be playing at 11. Okay, so we just kept our clocks on Eastern Time. But senior leadership is so important, I think, on the road. Also, making sure the young guys are not clowning around at pregame meals and stuff like that. So those senior leaders really can help the coaching staff stay ready to play on road trips.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they won't have their senior leader, biggest senior leader for the first half of the FSU game because Ventrell Miller got that targeting call. But
he did duck his head. Yeah, we all saw
when it happened, Steve. I went, oh, please don't review this. I literally was going. I looked for the flag and then went, please don't review this. I think it might be targeting.
When it first happened, I didn't see his head duck. It was sort of behind. I said, well, he did hit him in the head, but I don't think he really delivered the blow. And then when they start showing the replays, he ducked his head.
It is what it is.
You cannot hit with the crown of your helmet. And, man, you just got to keep telling you guys, keep your eyes up. Always see what you hit. They used to tell us that in every sport. See what you hit.
I know. And that was another penalty. But they had all these weird penalties. I mean, they went in averaging 39 penalties a game, and they had like 78 or something. They had double the penalties. And they were all crucial. You know, the one time early in the game, you were still at the Mississippi State game, but Montreal Johnson ran 31 yards down to the 3-yard line. I think it was Ty Bowman did not line up on the line of scrimmage. And I'm watching the TV, and I'm going, hey, somebody's got to get up in the line of scrimmage there.
Scoot up.
But that's the quarterback's job, isn't it? To make sure that happens.
Oh, no, I don't know if he can see all around, but that's the receiver coach and the receiver, if you ask me. He just but it happens a lot. You know, it happens everywhere. But a lot of times you try to give the guys, you're always on the line of scrimmage. You're always off, you know, instead of, well, this time you're off, this time you're on. When you do that, then it happens a little bit more.
You know, it's funny, the famous play at Tennessee with Jabbar Gaffney, catch, no catch, that you guys had scored, I think 2 plays before, and Rashay lined up wrong, right?
Exactly. We were in trips, and Rashay was on the line of scrimmage, and our tight end was on the line of scrimmage. He's supposed to be a yard off or so. And, Jesse hit him on a deep slant, and we thought we had it won, but nope. You know, got a penalty on that, and then we hit Jabbar. You're right.
Yeah. So, and everybody says, you know, whether it was catching or not, it doesn't matter. Alma Matthews saw it the right way. But you guys still had another down. It wasn't like the game was over, you know. Yeah,
and a field goal ties it to go to overtime. So it was.
Actually, I think you had 2 more downs, didn't you? I think it was a second down play.
Yeah, it was. We had one more throw at it if we didn't hit that. It was.
We have to talk about good things that happened in the past because obviously 6-5 is not where Florida wanted to be. But we all knew going into this season it was going to be a struggle. You know, and there's been so many dismissals of players, some leaving on their own. You know, Trent Whittemore, the latest. You know, obviously DeJuan Black got dismissed from the team. It's kind of a purge. I think what's really cool about when you took over, when Urban took over, they inherited really nice rosters, and there was no need to purge the roster. You just brought these guys in and taught them a different way of doing things.
Well, I remember Danny Sheridan, you know, the odds maker guy. He once said that teams can only really get fired up about twice a year. for an opponent. And then other than that, they got to, well, I sort of disagreed with that. I always told our guys, we only have, well, back then 11. We got 11 games all year, and then a bowl game, or then the playoffs came. We started saying then the SEC championship, and then another game. So we got all year to train and prepare and all this and the other. Surely we can get ready 12, 13 days a year to play our best.
Right.
And we always just used to always tell our guys the game this week, and it's the most important game of your life because it's the only one you got any control over. I mean, we surely we weren't worried about FSU before the Vandy game. Vandy game's the only one. So one of the records that I'm most proud of, Pat, is we never lost to a non-Power 5 team.
Never.
Like 53-0. And so our guys got ready. We got ready, and we tried to tell them, you can lose this game if you're not ready. I told our guys that one day, and one of our DBs said, Coach, ain't no way these guys can beat us. I said, with that attitude, yes, they can.
Yeah. Or if they didn't get ready during the week, when you know how important Tuesday practice is.
We had a player at South Carolina, and he liked to giggle at pregame meals, and I got on him one day, and he said, Coach, that's just my personality. I said, well, don't do it at the pregame meal. Go up in your room and laugh and giggle. Don't be laughing and giggling around everybody else.
No,
Anyway.
it's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing, obviously, some people said, well, maybe Florida was looking past Vandy to FSU and big rivalry game. Maybe the coaching staff was. I don't buy that. Vandy came out and played with very aggressively, and Florida just made a bunch of mistakes. It's weird to watch this Gator Nation, later. But you always tell your players, play it one game at a time.
Mm-hmm.
The Gator Nation and all fan bases take it one game at a time. So when you win a game, everything's great. When you lose a game, it's falling off the cliff.
It's amazing how that is the way it is. And the poor Tennessee fans now, they don't know what to do.
I feel bad for them.
They had
really
the miracle.
do.
They had the best year in 22 years going, or 24 years, and now they're just almost average. They're 9-2, something like that, with one game.
And they may lose to Vandy because of with their quarterbacks out with the torn ACL. So
Vandy has got ball players now. They're not as bad as everybody thinks, and they've always had a lot of good players.
Yeah.
And now there's, you win one, gain some confidence. Shoot, they'll have a shot at Tennessee, I think, this week.
I was talking to Chris Doring yesterday, and he was talking about the award you guys give out. And you got a lot of great candidates this year. I think the hope was you would be able to give it to Billy Napier, but that's not happening. But with Chip Kelly, not Chip Kelly, Brian Kelly, with what's his
Lincoln
name?
Riley out there.
Lincoln Riley with Sonny Dykes, who is doing unbelievable.
Man, they're still 11-0, going for 12-0. Unbelievable.
You got a lot of good candidates to choose from.
No, there are, and we'll have to wait and see who wins that thing. But you're exactly right. So many teams have really played well, and it's going to be a tough call. Who's coach of the year?
One more thing before we get to our Campus USA play of the game, and that I wanted to ask you because you're a Heisman voter. I'm a Heisman voter. This is kind of the time of year you start thinking about it, and nobody's asking you to reveal your Heisman vote, but I would think that there are a bunch of candidates, especially at quarterback, that are catching your eye.
Yeah, usually the quarterbacks have a huge advantage winning that nowadays because the game has shifted to throw the ball, score points almost everywhere. Although Michigan and Ohio State, Ohio State throws it around very well. Michigan is not a great passing team. And that game, they beat Illinois. We're two running teams. And, boy, Michigan was fortunate to nip them. They really were. So that'll be a good one this week. Alabama-Auburn. They were talking about Alabama could sneak back in this thing if, these guys, it depends how it goes at the end of the year. But it is, there's a lot of good games coming up soon, and anybody can still win it all. That's for sure. And the Heisman, the TCU quarterback, Southern Cal quarterback, the Ohio State guy, they're all still in it. Seems like the guys down south. North Carolina gets beat by Georgia Tech after
didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, they were 9-1, something like that. So, but Clemson's back in it. If they win out, they'll probably be in the Final Four.
Yeah, it is interesting, the quarterbacks that are out there, that it's just been a quarterback dominant. Like you said, the sport has changed, so the quarterbacks dominate, and it feels like, and again, it's weird. It is also funny, and a lot of people don't know this, that you won the Heisman before your season was over. Regular season was over. And now I get mad at people who don't wait until the last game is played to send their vote in. Like some people do. They send like 50 or 60 ballots come in before the games are over. And I'm like, no, you got to wait. Watch every game.
Wait till it's over. Yeah, they usually encourage all the voters to wait till the season's over, or even the conference championship games are finished. So that's what most of us, I think, do now.
All right, well, let's get to our Campus USA play of the game. And again, this is where Florida used play action, which they didn't use as much as I hoped they would. But right here, they use that play action, keeps everybody in. Safeties cheat up, and Dejon Reynolds, who had a career game, pretty fast too, gets caught from behind, but he still got in. Again, it was reviewed, but he still made it. But that play action, I think, was a big part. Look, there's another guy wide open over there. I don't know. They just didn't come back to that play very much. But this kid who nobody even barely knew was on the team had 3 catches all year. I think he had 7 for 160-something yards in this game. So that was certainly a play that got Florida back into it.
Yeah, we're playing a lot of guys now, which different from early in the year, whether that's good, bad, or whatever. But hopefully they're young guys, and they're going to get better once we finish the season. And right now we need to beat FSU. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
But that's not going to be easy up there. But it's funny how the attitude of every team changes depending on that week.
Oh, yeah.
South Carolina, they went from, we're going to finish 6-6, and now they're 7-5.
Now we're playing a team that could be in the playoff.
He said, now we can beat Clemson. We have proven we can score. So that's going to be a huge game at Clemson next week also.
And
this coming week.
That's why I'll probably pick Clemson, because nobody seems to be able to play 2 in a row. You know, even Georgia had trouble this week with Kentucky. 16-6.
I tell you what, Clemson has won 38 in a row at home. That's pretty doggone good. I don't care. Yeah. It is all those ACC teams.
Yeah.
But 38 in a row is pretty impressive.
Yeah, we'll see how South Carolina plays. All right, that's going to do it for Coach Spurrier's time. We always love having him on Mondays. We'll see him next Monday. Of course, as always, brought to you by Meldon Law. We'll be right back with all of our other stuff that we always do, including Yes, No Way, or Maybe with Robbie Andreu, here on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. This is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Brew Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Pat Dooley's Storytime is brought to you by East Lake Pediatrics. Nobody knows how to provide pediatric health care for little Gators better than Dr. Mike and the other board-certified pediatricians and the pediatric nurse practitioners of East Lake Pediatrics. They have been providing personalized health care to the children of Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough counties since 2004. And with the recent addition of Dr. Chris, who is also board certified in sports medicine, they are now offering care for youth sports injuries as well. To learn more about East Lake Pediatrics, call 727-372-6760. And to get to know them better, listen to Dr. Mike and Dr. Carey on their Peds and Pop podcast on multiple platforms. Gator football is back, and the best way to get exclusive insight is a membership in the Gainesville Quarterback Club. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you the access to speakers like coaches, Gator greats, and more. Yeah, I even talk over there. It's pretty cool. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-person meetings or for non-locals via Zoom with an out-of-town membership. Right now, out-of-town memberships are only $150, and all new out-of-town signups get entered to win 2 Champions Club tickets to homecoming. That's pretty cool. Against Missouri, speaker presentations, home game tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org or call me, Pat Dooley, 352-317-3444, and I'll get you in touch with the right people. Gainesville Quarterback Club.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
All right, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI. And, of course, as always, we are coming from the Meldon Law Gator Studios, and now we go to the mountains to see our friend Robbie Andreu, who has gone away for Thanksgiving, and I'm sure he's having a good time. And I did not get my invitation in the mail to join you, but we are ready on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line for another edition of Yes, Nowhere, Maybe. Robbie, how are you?
Good, Pat. You're too busy to take a week off in the mountains.
Yeah, that may be it. You were lucky. You were driving, I think, during the Florida football game, so you didn't get to see much of it. But I know you know about what happened.
Yeah, I didn't see a single play, Pat, and I didn't know the score till after the game.
Yeah, well, let me get your reaction. Yeah, what was your reaction when you saw that score?
I wasn't shocked, Pat, because we talked last week about how Florida always has trouble going up to Nashville, and it was cold. Receivers dropped the ball apparently, so it didn't shock me at all. I kind of, it was one of those where you could almost see it coming. Things were starting to get too positive there.
I know. Well, and I was just talking with Coach Spurrier about this. Everybody talks about players need to take it game. Every game is its own game, and it's week to week. And that's the way fans are too. So you're only as good as your last game. I mean, this fan base was in love with Billy Napier a week ago. Now they're ready to string him up.
The whole thing, Pat, and I keep telling people this. It's the first year is going to be a struggle like this. You've got to. And I'm not saying he's the answer, but my only thing is be patient with the guy and give him a chance.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I mean, look, one thing is everybody keeps talking about the play calling and maybe he's got too much on his plate. And I'm like, nobody ever said that about Spurrier. Nobody ever said that about Heupel. Nobody says that but they say it about Jimbo now. And if you're not having success, people always say that. Jimbo was fine when he was at FSU. It's all about having the right players.
Absolutely, Pat.
All right, well, it's time to play Yes, Nowhere, Maybe on our Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line. Of course, Big Mills Cheesesteak is the sponsor of Yes Nowhere. Maybe you go in there and get something to eat, which you should. It's a perfect day for one of those hot sandwiches, cheesesteaks with if you like the chicken cheesesteak, which I kind of like, or maybe a big hot sausage, and you get free French fries with your order if you mention the Duly Noted podcast. Let's go to number 1. Robbie, you ready for this?
Yeah, fire away.
All right, number 1, Caleb Williams will win the Heisman Trophy.
Maybe, Pat. He has a chance. Playing on the West Coast probably hurts because people don't know what he's doing out there, but he's quietly having a big year, and USC is kind of moving in a position to make it to the playoff maybe. So, if he has a big game against Notre Dame on national TV, he could rise up. He could be the guy. There's a chance of maybe on that one.
Well, and that's the thing, Robbie. I feel like he's on center stage right now because I think he's like everybody's going to say C.J. Stroud, and the thing is C.J. Stroud can win it Saturday if he lights up Michigan, right? But
he could, yes.
But Caleb Williams has Notre Dame and Oregon his next 2 games. He's got an opportunity for the world to really see what he's doing. The numbers are certainly great, and now Hendon Hooker kind of out of the race, which you hate to see. But I think Caleb Williams right now, in my mind, is the favorite to win the whole thing.
Yeah, Pat, I agree. After this weekend, I think he is the front runner right now. And if he plays well in the last 2, he's going to be the guy.
Yeah, I'm not going to ignore Max Duggan either, the TCU quarterback, because what he keeps doing every week. I mean, there's a place for that, right?
He's a hell of a player, Pat. Man. He gets things done in the clutch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Think about. I wonder what Zach Evans is thinking right now. The running back from Ole Miss who was transferred from TCU, and now he's like.
Now he's laying behind the true freshman.
Yeah. And they're 11-0.
Yeah. I don't know. That maybe wasn't a good move for him.
Not always greener. No. The pastures are not always greener. Let us go to number 2 on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line. Big Mills Cheesesteak street dining done the right way. 2 SEC teams, Robbie, make the playoffs. It's changed now. It's totally changed.
I'm going to say no way, Pat. I don't see a path for it right now. I mean, LSU, if they do beat Georgia, which I don't think is going to happen, is still going to have 2 losses, even though they'll be a conference champion and Georgia can still get in. But no way I'm saying on that one. There's no way they're getting 2 teams in. Too many other teams are involved in them.
That's the funny thing when people were freaking out. I think the SEC may get 3 teams in. And I'm like, let it play out. Let teams let these games happen. And obviously what happened with Tennessee. I mentioned this earlier, and I'm sure you don't feel the same way, but I almost felt bad for Tennessee after that game. To lose Hooker like that, to have this dream season, and all of a sudden it ends. It almost ended like the Nebraska game did for Florida in '95.
Yeah. And, Pat, I don't think anybody saw that coming, especially the way South Carolina played against Florida the week before. And I think that watching tape of that game probably hurt Tennessee. I think they took South Carolina way too lightly. And, like any other team, they're a much better team at home. They have a great atmosphere there. And I think Tennessee ignored all that going in. And, all the announcers did too. Everybody was predicting Tennessee would score 60, 70 points. No big deal. They got caught in a hornet's nest.
Yeah. And you're right. It can be a really good atmosphere. And, I was surprised that people even showed up because of the way they played the week before. But they do. It's a very loyal fan base. It's a quirky fan base, but it's a very loyal fan base.
But, Pat, after the Florida game, I saw on social media people wanted to fire Beamer. So, that's the way it goes in college football. 1 week at a time.
And again, Twitter is evil, as we all know, and that's part of the problem.
No question.
But there's no doubt that I agree with what you said. And this is, again, we go back to 18 to 24-year-olds or however old they are playing the game. Is they watch the tape, and they watched the tape of that game against Florida, and they went, cakewalk. Thank goodness. We got an easy one this week. And, It's been a defense. You know what? Somebody made this point. I think it was on Twitter. This is where Twitter is good. Twitter is both the most evil and good thing there is.
Yeah, it depends on how you use it.
Exactly. This was a great point somebody made. Tennessee this year is Florida 2020 because that 2020 Florida team up and down the field, but they played no defense. And that's kind of what and it finally caught up with them. It caught up with Tennessee.
Yeah, it will catch you at some point, Pat. It caught them the other night, and it was stunning the way it all played out. I was sitting there thinking, this is the most weird game I've seen in a long time.
Absolutely.
Because we'd watched South Carolina the week before.
I know. It was like in fact, I remember when I was doing my picks, I picked Tennessee with the points they were given. I think it was 21. I said, I'm still taking Tennessee because it didn't look like South Carolina cared anymore last week. So now they're rushing the field, which gets me to number 3. Greg Sankey is going to get control of fans on the field. We had 2 this week. Obviously, the financial penalties are doing no damage. Vandy's going to get fined $250 because it was her third offense. South Carolina $100,000. And he's put together this committee to. Do you think there's an answer to getting control of it? Yes, no way, or maybe.
Maybe, Pat. But I mean, the last few weeks, like you said, the minute he came out with this, things have turned crazy. People are storing the field all over the place. So he's going to try, and maybe he'll get a grip on it. But, when fans get caught up in the euphoria of a big win like that, they're going to come onto the field. They don't care if the school gets fined. Whatever it is, they're going to go on the field. So it's going to be a hard thing to stop. And, the only way to stop it is, I don't know, do what Florida does. Put cops out there and say, you're not coming on here.
Well, the interesting thing, and again, Vandy stormed the field with 10,000 fans. But there were all these yellow jacketed security guys just watching them go by. They didn't care. And again, it's personal to me because I've been in bad situations where I've been, on the field and not happy about what was going on. But I think it's going to end badly. And I don't know when. At some point, it's going to end badly, and we're going to have a problem. But I think the solution, this is what I've said, is you take a home game away from that team. Maybe not the following year because you've got schedules made up, but maybe 2 years down the road, you lose a home game.
Yeah, maybe it does need to be severe like that. But like you said, we've been on the field when people are charged, and it is frightening because it's like a stampede, and people aren't paying attention to you standing there. You get hit and knocked down and trampled. Someday somebody's going to get hurt really bad, and then it's going to be too late.
Yeah, goalpost landed right next to me at LSU one time. I was like, oh, man. And shockingly, Robbie, I didn't see it. So it was my peripheral. Robbie?
I didn't hear that, Pat.
Okay, no, I was going to say, when that goalpost came down next to me, I didn't see it coming because.
Well, yeah, that could have cracked your head open. So that was a scary thing.
So no, I don't want it anyway. All right, Robbie, we're going to let you go, and we appreciate you taking the time on vacation to come on another Dooley Noted podcast and do Yes, Nowhere, maybe brought to you by Big Meals. Thanks a lot for joining us, and have a good time up there. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Pat.
All right, appreciate it, Robbie.
Okay,
that was Yes, No Way, or Maybe, brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteaks, and we appreciate them also for being a sponsor of the Bob Dooley Invitational, which they are, and we appreciate them. And talked to Keith, and they're definitely going to be out there on the course. By the way, if you're interested in playing the tournament, by Wednesday of this week, we'll have the link up where you can pay and get in. Trust me, you better get it done early. It's going to fill up fast. I'm just telling you. I'm warning you is what I'm doing, really. All right, it is time for us to get to our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks. And again, on Wednesday, we will pull a new winner. It won't be Sean Belgrade. He's won 2 in a row. We aren't going to let people win. We're not even going to let people win 2 in a row. Or, some people got mad about that. It didn't matter. That's the name that I pulled out of the hat. What do you want me to do? But we are going to pull a winner on Wednesday. For the winner, they will receive $25 gift certificate at Leonardo's. And I think I got a couple other things I'm going to throw in there. And nobody has ever complained about any of the prize packages they won from this tournament. This podcast. I got tournament on my brain right now. So we will do that on Wednesday when we're doing our special show. Again, there'll be no show Friday. There will be a show Wednesday for Thanksgiving, and we'll do a lot of the FSU breakdown as well on that day. So our Leonardo's quick pick. This is, I know it's not much warning. Those of you who don't listen until the following day, I'm sorry, but this is a last chance to get in to qualify for the Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. Monday night game tonight, San Francisco is an 8-point favorite at Arizona. So your last chance to qualify, San Francisco or Arizona. San Francisco giving 8 points to Arizona if you want to get in. That's a weird line because it opened at 1.5. There's injury issues there as well, but now it's an 8-point line. But so personally, I would probably take San Francisco, but 8 points is a lot in the NFL. So let's move along, I should say, not move on, but move along to our Adams Ribco to go. Gator of the week. And I do want to bring this up because last week our Gator of the week was Parker Valby, and we talked about she was going to the NCAAs. She finished second in the nation, the cross country runner. So I have the boy bangs working today, the Bama bangs or whatever you call them. I need to get my hair cut. So she finished runner up, but I did decide to go with Colin Castleton, and I'm sure he'll have more opportunities. Obviously, with Florida winning that game, and he went 25-9, really didn't have a great first half. Came out, played his butt off in the second half. Emotional leader of this team. Had a real shot. It wasn't close, but he had a chance to be the first player ever at Florida to have 3 straight games in the 30s. And he ended up with 25. So Colin Castleton, we're thrilled that you played as well as you did. So he is our Adams Ribco to go, Gator of the week. And on Wednesday, I guess, I don't know, we'll figure out something else to do. I maybe be the Gator of the year, something. Maybe we can do something like that. Because since we won't have a Gator of the weekend. No, actually, Castleton's the Gator of the weekend. We'll have a Gator of the week on Wednesday. Boy, I'm screwing this whole thing up. Can we edit that out? No. All right. This thing is on, right? I want to make sure this thing is on. All right. Let us get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. And 3 things, as always, is brought to you by Hesser and Kipke. And I know Ken was really thrilled that he had that late win with Jalen Hurts running it in for the Eagles. That was cool. All right. 3 things, as always, is brought to you by Hesser and Kipke, a law firm based in Hale Plantation, specializing in employment, workers' comp, and family law. Visit their website at www.hklawfl.com or call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke. Let's go to 3 things. And number 1 on 3 things, Florida pulled the offer of a 4-star quarterback that had already committed to Florida, Marcus Stokes, quarterback from Nice, obviously where Tebow played, but there was a video of him, and he used the word that I don't even like to say the initial for it because I hate the word. I wish it would get completely out of society, but it's it's out there, and it's still a big part of it. But anyway, he used that word, and Florida pulled their offer, and he had a very heartfelt apology. And he'll land somewhere else. He's a kid they flipped from Penn State, but now he may flip back to Penn State. That'll be weird if that happens. I will say that. But look, I've seen a bunch of players respond and go, look, I know the kid. He's not a racist. He just threw, but, and I also get where Florida may be a little too sensitive on the issue. Because he was singing a song, I believe, right, on that. I just don't like the word at all. I never like to hear it. That's me. I am what I am. So I don't have a problem with Florida pulling the offer. Number 2, I'm trying to think and I don't want to say dumb because, again, if I say dumb, I'm talking about a college basketball player, women's basketball player in this case. But I don't know which was a more egregious, I guess, mistake. The Jets punting to New England with, 15 seconds left on the clock? Because they ran it back for a touchdown, like 74 yards. And when they scored, there was 5 seconds left. Why not you just punt it out of bounds? You're not going to get a Hail Mary, but you can break one, unless you're Florida, of course, which doesn't break special teams plays, doesn't have good special teams play. Or Stanford. I watched that Stanford almost the whole game, Stanford, South Carolina game. It was unbelievable. Went to overtime. Great game. Stanford blew a lead. And then they get the ball with a chance to tie the game with 2 seconds left. 5 seconds left of the clock, down 2. And the young lady calls a timeout. And they didn't have any timeouts. Now, that may not be dumbness on her part or egregious on her part. Maybe her coach forgot to tell her that. I don't know. I haven't read any stories about it. But those are the two boneheads plays of the weekend by far. And both of them I went, what are you thinking? So you make your choice. Number 3, the World Cup is underway. This not a big soccer guy, I guess I'll root for the Americans, but I'm also not a big Qatar guy. Is that the way you pronounce it? Qatar? I don't know. Whatever they pronounce it at. Human rights issues, but apparently those get thrown out of the way when you have soccer. And of course, the guy who basically was responsible for putting it there basically said, I screwed up. We shouldn't have never put it there. It's going to be hard for me to watch any of it, even the Americans, just the way I feel. Again, I'm being really opinionated here on a Monday. But that is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Hopefully, Ken and Jennifer don't come and go, hey, Dooley, that soccer stuff, we're big soccer fans. I like soccer. I really actually enjoy it. I covered soccer for many years. It's more of a Qatar thing than it is a soccer thing. Anyway, let us get to our Gainesville Quarterback Club games of the week. And again, Tuesday is the last speaker, but there are 2 more meetings of the Quarterback Club. Phil Farr from Gator Boosters is going to be the speaker. I can't wait for that. I've known him since he was in college and played at Florida. Look forward to that. Monday night, you have the game we talked about, San Francisco at Arizona. There's Maction on Tuesday. I don't think anybody really cares that much about it. We're kind of like, you're not footballed out, but you've had enough that you're not going to watch a Tuesday night Maction game. Although the snow games are good. Hopefully there'll be a snow game. But I want to go ahead and give you the Thursday night schedule. Thursday night, Mississippi State is at Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl. That'll be cool. ESPN, 7 o'clock game. But there are also the NFL games. Buffalo at Detroit, 12:30 on CBS. Giants at Dallas, 4:30 on Fox. New England at Minnesota, 8:20 on NBC. And, of course, Florida's basketball team plays Thursday on ESPN2 at 5:30 against Xavier out in Portland. Thursday is going to be exhausting, and I'm not cooking dinner. In fact, I think we're just going to go somewhere and eat it and watch sports. It'll be a nice day. But have a good Thanksgiving. We'll talk more about Thanksgiving a little bit later. But that is our Gainesville Quarterback Club games of the week. Finally, let's get to Pat Dooley's story time. And I was trying to think about something, and the FSU game being this week, I said, you know what? Think about the FSU. And, of course, when you think about the FSU game, the game that always sticks out is in the Sugar Bowl, but the game that always sticks out in Tallahassee was the Braveheart game with Tebow, right? But the game that really I loved very much was the 2012 game, because remember 2010 when Jimbo Fisher put a spanking on Urban Meyer, drove him into retirement, short-lived. At the same time, there was a point where late in the game, we were on the field, they announced that somebody had beaten somebody, Wake Forest or somebody, I don't remember who it was. That meant that FSU was also going to the ACC championship game. Crowd was going nuts. And I remember Robbie looking at me going, there is nowhere I'd rather be. Nowhere, I can't say this. I'd rather be anywhere than here right now. I go, this is miserable. This is the most miserable day of my life. I go, yeah, that's kind of the way I feel. So 2012 was a big deal. to win that game. And again, Antonio Morris's hit on E.J. Manuel to cause that fumble. Matt Jones running for the clinching touchdown. That was just happy. And we're down the field again at the end of the game. And Robbie goes, a little different this time. I go, yeah, it was pretty cool. Saw Dan Quinn coming off the field. We talked a little bit about this team. And again, driving home that night, Florida had if USC had punched it in the end zone, could have beat Notre Dame, Florida could have been in the playoff, 2-team playoff, BCS playoff at 11-1. Didn't work out. This is how excited I was. I was scheduled to have hip surgery to replace my hip. Old man, I know. But as I'm walking across the field, and I've got a couple of Advil or Aleve or something in me, a couple of ibuprofen in me, and I'm not feeling too bad. I'm feeling pretty good. And I'm walking around across the field, back to the press box, kind of got a little step, a little hop, you know? And I go, I'm putting this off. I want to definitely go to the Sugar Bowl. I do not want to miss the Sugar Bowl. So I put it off till later. Then I go to the Sugar Bowl, and of course, as the plane lands, that was 2009. I'm getting my years mixed up. Anyway, I did go to the Sugar Bowl. I had a good time, but the Gators didn't, unfortunately. And Karen had a great time. She went too. She actually was in a skybox, but didn't go well for the Gators. Anyway, I'm screwing up all my stories. We need heavy editing on this edition of another Duly Noted podcast, but it's over, and I know everybody's happy. Thanks to Tammy, thanks to Jason for doing this, being our producers. We appreciate them. Thanks to all of our great sponsors. Again, we'll be back with a Wednesday show, special Thanksgiving show. So we'll see you then. Until then, I am Pat Dooley for another Duly Noted podcast saying I am deep, I'm way back, and I am out of here.